What's up guys, AD back with another Destiny Child video, and in today's video everyone, we are going to be overviewing the Cluster Lord here in the Spacewalk game mode, and I'll be overviewing some suggestions thanks to Saturn's guide on the new Spacewalk game mode for the global version. But before we dive into the Cluster Lord everyone, make sure to leave a like on this video as well as be sure to subscribe to the channel, and of course if you haven't yet done so already, make sure to check out channel memberships down below if you're interested in further supporting the channel, and a huge thank you to all of the members that have joined so far. So with all of that being said, let's get started here with the Cluster Lord. Now before we dive into the team recommendations, let's overview this area quickly. So as you can see, we currently do have two Cluster Lords currently active. The first one here featuring Fancy Tiwaz as the boss for Cluster Lord 1, of course, as you can see towards the top here of the screen, and for the next boss we actually have Cluster Lord 2 featuring Summer Tamamo. So two very amazing bosses here, and you can sort of think of this game mode as a solo world boss, which is very interesting and definitely very challenging for the PvE game modes here in Destiny Child. Now you will need to encounter this boss alone and defeat it by yourself in order to obtain the rewards, and of course the ability to sweep each difficulty. Now the interesting thing about these bosses here is that equipment is actually nullified in this game mode. So for example here, you can select the difficulty. Let's say for Fancy Tiwaz difficulty 2 here, we have the skill info, and as you can see on screen, we have the dark matter effect, negates your child's weapons, armor, accessories, and soul cartas. So as we can see here for Tiwaz 2, the recommended team power is actually 900,000, and of course you also do have Tiwaz's skill info here, and of course her battle buffs, as well as the reward info for completing the battle, as well as completing the battle with a certain amount of HP remaining. Now of course the goal is to complete the battle entirely so you can obtain the puppet summon tickets. I wouldn't recommend to challenge any of these Cluster Lord bosses if you're not obtaining the puppet summon tickets at the very least. So like I mentioned, it's pretty much a solo world boss here for the Cluster Lord, and of course for Tiwaz we have two difficulties, and upon clearing difficulty 1 here, you will unlock Tamamo after clearing the final nebula. So before heading into a Cluster Lord, you'll be able to select the difficulty. As you can see here, difficulty 1 for Fancy Tiwaz does require 10 tickets, and for difficulty 2 here, it requires 20 tickets. Now to obtain these tickets, you will need to receive them from the Spacewalk game mode. As you can see here, for your daily rewards, since I did manage to clear all of the nebulas, as you can see on screen, the daily reward Spacewalk completion, I can't believe you've passed 1024 zones, and we do have 48 Cluster Lord Challenge 1 tickets here and 48 Cluster 2 Lord Challenge tickets for my daily reward. So be sure to collect these daily, of course, from the Spacewalk game mode, and as you can see, we have 48 of each ticket, and I can actually challenge Tiwaz as well as Tamamo twice each. So this will depend on how far you have made it so far in the Spacewalk, but for the maximum rewards, you will want to clear all of the nebulas as soon as possible so you can obtain as many tickets as possible. So with your new tickets, you'll take them and head into the Cluster Lord here, and depending on your current team, power, ignition level, etc., you'll select a difficulty here for Fancy Tiwaz as well as Tamamo. Now for Fancy Tiwaz, difficulty 1 is definitely way easier, but if you do think you can clear difficulty level 2, then I would definitely hold out and just clear level 2 instead. But for level 1 here, you do have the rewards, of course, of 1 puppet summon ticket, 2 rusty nails, as well as 200 lost hair. As for the skill info, they do recommend 360,000 power, so as you can see, it is significantly lower than Fancy Tiwaz level 2. So if you can only clear level 1 of Tiwaz, then by any means make sure to clear this daily, or if you would like to wait for the maximum rewards, you can always just hold out and keep stacking all of your Cluster Lord tickets until you do manage to finally clear level 2. So like I mentioned, you'll choose the difficulty you do want to clear daily. As for level 2 here, of course it does require 20 tickets, so we'll be able to clear it only twice per day here for myself. So we'll confirm the difficulty here for Fancy Tiwaz, and then we'll click ready for battle. Now as you can see, you will need to challenge this game mode with a full team of 20 units. Since Tiwaz is a dark type boss, we did manage to counter her with a light type focused team. Now we can sweep Tiwaz after completing level 2. As you can see, I did manage to clear it before, so I do have the ability to sweep Tiwaz, as well as the same for Tamamo. So use 40 Cluster 1 Lord Challenge tickets and sweep 2 times, and there you go with the Pantheon icon. And we do have here the 800 Lost Air, 4 Puppet Summon tickets, as well as 16 Rusty Nails. Now for Tamamo, of course, it will be the same thing, but since Tamamo is a fire type boss, you'll definitely want to focus on building a water type focused team. Now for the difficulty here of Tamamo, there is actually only one difficulty, and she is pretty strong herself. As you can see, the recommended power is 900,000, as well as she does have dark matter just as Tiwaz does. So make sure to adjust your team accordingly, and we'll get into those team recommendations in just a moment. As for the rewards here for Tamamo, you still do receive 2 Puppet Summon tickets, but we also do have here Reddened Thread, Rusty Nails, and of course Lost Hair for ultimately clearing Tamamo. Now for Tamamo, you'll do the same thing, select the difficulty here, and then head into battle. Of course, as you can see, we do have a water focused team here on screen that I did manage to clear Tamamo with, and since I did complete her, we can head into the sweep and manage to sweep her twice per day, since I do manage to obtain 40 Cluster Lord tickets of each type. So that's pretty much the overview of the Cluster Lord 1 and 2 difficulties here on Destiny Child Global so far. As for the team recommendations, let's get into those. Of course, a huge thank you to Saturn for the team recommendations here on screen right now. Now for the first Tiwaz team, we do have one with Ram Lethal, the new water type debuffer that was released with the Guilty Gear collab. She is definitely top tier for the world boss as well as Cluster Lord game modes here on Destiny Child. As you can see on screen, we do have the recommendation of the front row being Navi, Ram Lethal fully ignited, Mercury 4-star ignition, Werewolf 3-star ignition, Lewin either Babel or Lanfei, as well as either Freya or Mott. Moving on, we do have Lupin here full ignition, Newbie Mona made Citri 3-star ignition, and for the back row here we have your best light type attacker. You'll definitely need to have the light type attackers ignited, so you'll run 2 here, as well as the 4-star light type attacker in Kalchas, which you'll need to have him ignited as well. Moving on to the next slot here, we have either Salos or Citri with 3-star ignition, as well as Luna to end this row off. As for the final sets of units here, we have light type Jakangbi with at least 2-star ignition, as well as Nimhain at full ignition. We also do have Saturn with the recommendation of 3-star ignition, and to end this team off, we have Light Beam Mona as well as Rusalka. Now of course, this is only a team recommendation, and you can always adjust accordingly based on which units you do currently have, like I did myself. So like mentioned, this is the first team with Ram Lethal. As for the drive order for this team, you'll run Maid Citri first, heading into the second drive you'll run Mercury, and ending off with Saturn drive. As for the skill order recommendations, they're listed on screen as well as the leader skill of Oracle Werewolf. Now moving on to the next team without Ram Lethal, let's say you don't have Ram Lethal ignited to the point where she is usable against Cluster Lord or World Boss, you'll need to use a Lady Bathory instead. Now the teams are very similar. As you can see, the only units that was swapped out was Ram Lethal for Lady Bathory, and the suggested ignition for Lady Bathory would be fully ignited, and you'll still be using all of the other same units from the previously recommended team. Now moving on to Tamamo's team recommendation, everyone, we do have the recommendation of Navi to start out this team, as well as Ram Lethal full ignition. Now Ram Lethal will be able to be ran against Tamamo regardless if you have it ignited or not, since she is a water type unit. Now you'll be running Ram Lethal's leader skill, and moving on you'll run Mercury, Oracle Werewolf, as well as Kalaratri. Now Kalaratri is very important due to her allure buff, which will help against Tamamo a ton. And moving on, we also do have Guillotine here, Leo, Swimsuit Davi, Theophano, Arat, and for the back row here we have 2 water type attackers, of course being fully ignited, as well as Sweet Citri, Newbie Mona, Maid Citri, Light Jakangbi, either Babel or Lanfei, as well as either Freya or Mott. And to end this team off, we have Lupin and Rusalka. Now a great recommendation for this team as well would be Limos if you do happen to have her. The tap skill does come in handy since she can steal Tamamo's buffs continuously and help out your team a ton if you don't have very significant investment. As for the skill orders here, of course they're listed on screen as well, so make sure to pause the video at any time if you guys are interested in copying those. And of course for the drive order, we have made Citri into Mercury drive, as well as I'd recommend ending on Guillotine drive. So that'll pretty much do it for the Cluster Lord 1 and 2 guide here on the channel. Make sure to let me know in the comment section below if this guide was helpful to you at all, as well as be sure to share in the comment section below if you guys did manage to clear either Tiwaz or Tamamo overall. But before you go, everyone, make sure to leave a like on this video, as well as be sure to subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you haven't yet done so already, check out channel memberships down below if you're interested interested in further supporting the channel, as well as the links to my Twitch channel, and of course Twitter accounts if you're interested in following me there as well. But with all of that being said, everyone, I'll catch you all in the next Destiny Child video. As always, thank you all so much for watching.